Hi guys, got just another short little video here. Still doing the brakes on my dad's pickup. This is 4 nights later. Got the fronts done in the last one, and worked the last 4 nights, and I'm off for the next 4 days. So he got these brakes in, I believe, 2 days ago. The new rotors and pads in 2 days ago, but so I had a heck of a time getting the caliper off. Their pistons are all the way out. Couldn't get them pushed back in on there, but this is what your pads should not look like when you go to change them. There is no pad on that. That is straight the metal backing plate. And that was on the inside of the tire, or on the inside of that hub and rotor. And this was on the tire side. This one was on the tire side. Let's see if I can get the light a little bit here. There's a little bit of pad left on that side, but definitely doesn't do you any good when the inside one has nothing. And that's actually grooved. I don't know if this is gonna show it very well. Not really. Kind of. You can see the lip there. There's about a 1/16 inch of a lip on that pad right where this tab is at. Right there, coming up towards this way. There's a lip there where they've been gone for quite some time, which would explain the grinding. You can see the metal transfer, metal on metal transfer. There's flakes on here from the pad, or the backing part of the pad, and the rotor back to the pad, and back and forth, back and forth. There's some thin sheets almost welded in there. I'll get this rotor off and show you the inside. I don't have my light over here right now, but you run your fingernail across the back of that. There's no lip. This is the side that still had pad on it. Yeah, there's no lip in there. A little bit of wear to it, but on the end, but still nothing. There's no grooving, so it'd actually be good, minus the fact that, of course, I don't know, I'm gonna have to show this in the light, but you're missing the inside of the rotor here. It's corroded out and chipped off, and on the back side is that way, and definitely has grooving in the back. But I'll get this pulled off here, and I'll show you what this rotor looks like and what they should not look like, and compare it to the new. One more thing before I actually pull that rotor off here. Getting ready to push these pistons back in on that caliper. Of course, the lighting ain't very good down here, is it? I got just a C-clamp. I got the old brake shoe on there, the brake pad in there. I'm using it to push against that pad to be able to push these pistons back in using a C-clamp. You can do this without having to actually bleed the brakes this way. But when you do that, I hope you can hear me with that torpedo heater going, but you always want to take the reservoir cap off. And then what I do to save yourself the hassle of cleaning everything up, take your paper towel. You want a paper towel, it's really porous. You stick that down in there just a little ways, and that'll actually wick that brake fluid up as it fills up when you squeeze those pistons back in. And with those pistons being all the way out, I'm sure this is going to fill up, but that'll just wick that up out of there to keep that level. You put a rag up there, but a rag won't wick it as much as a paper towel will. But it'll just be able to catch any oil that's going to come out the top there. But yeah, and if it's lower and you only got to do the front side or whatever, and you don't have a paper towel to put on there, you want to take that cap up so you don't pressurize this and cause any damage up here to your master cylinder or anything. But like I said, you can just do it this way. You don't have to pop your brake line loose, drain any fluid that way. You can just squeeze those back in, but not all vehicles you can do that on, but some of these you can. But you need, on this you can, on this Dodge. Any of these Rams you can do that. Squeeze them back in there. Just want to make sure you take that cap off. Take the cap off and squeeze them evenly. Push that back in and it'll push it right back to the reservoir and save you from having to bleed all the brakes. Alright, here it is. There is the backside of the rotor. There's that metal on metal transfer I was talking about. It just starts delaminating that and taking pieces off with it because it gets hot. Chips out of it, gets hot. And that heat cycle is really hot and really cold, and then the metal on metal, the wear and friction you put on there, and it'll start going out and chipping away because it's just really brittle and not strong like it normally is. It's cast. Got a chip there and a chip down there, and a lot of brake dust in here. And as you can tell, there's a lot of grooves in that, and there is no turning this down, but it's almost not worth it to get a rotor turned down as it is to be just go buy a new one. Price and time you spend in it, it's easier to just go buy one. Otherwise I'd have to take these in. No, I couldn't take these in, but take them in, to get these off, take them in, find a place that actually does them still, get them turned down, and then go back to pick them up to come back to put it on. You turn it into at least a day job, if not more than that. And I ain't saying a day job as in you can do it on the day and make some money. I'm talking about it'll take you a whole freaking day to do a brake job. You wouldn't make any money if you're charging somebody to do this. But if you think I should charge them to do this, you better hit the thumbs up. No, I'm just kidding. I won't charge him. It was a fair trade. I used this truck to make a little money, even though it was a job that he volunteered me for, which I didn't really mind doing, but just couldn't do it with my truck. And he used his skid loader. So but in the inside here, this is where that parking brake would rub on, which I'm not going to tell him. I'll make him watch the video to find out that his parking brakes still have pads on them, and I will be adjusting them out to where they work again. After he bought this truck years and years back, my brother drove it. I don't remember if he drove it home, if we parked it at Michael's, the restaurant we worked at, or I'm not sure what the deal was, but for whatever reason he had drove it. Well, he drove with the parking brake on the entire way, because this truck will pull right through it, but the parking brake will definitely hold you when it's set. But no longer did it do its job, since it was no longer pushed out far enough. That one drive, it ate them down. But there's still pads left, and they're still good. So I'll get them adjusted out to where they actually hold again and get another bite. But I won't tell him that there was actually pads left. I'll make him watch this video to find that out. See if he actually watches the whole video here. I'm sure he does. But there's pads on both front and back. These are actually shoes, but what they use for drum brakes. There's a little bit of grooving in that one, but probably from all the rocks that are in here. Brake dust and everything else from rubbing inside of that. But I'll get these cleaned up and put the new rotor on and put the new pads on. Then once I get both sides done, then I'll adjust the parking brakes out to where they need to be. So And once again, I used my tool that I think everybody that ever does a brake job should have in their arsenal. That 12-ton 3-jaw hydraulic puller, gear puller. I adjusted it out. If you watched the last video, I had it on this hole for the front rotors, but these back rotors are a deeper dish because they got to have that parking brake on there. And I really don't know if they set these up for dualies, whether they're a dually or not, even though this is specified as a single rear wheel. I don't know if they just put different rims on there and call it a dually, and axle and everything else is the same, but I never really looked too far into that. But so these were deeper anyway, so I extended that out to there and it worked great. But of course it had a lot more travel here, but you only have to get it to pop off that lip right up top. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up either, but see if it does here. Yeah, it does. Right up in here, it's a little bit here. So I don't have to travel all the way through here. But it was definitely fighting. I put a lot of pressure on it, hit it, and it moved just a little bit, and I had to do it again and moved just a little bit, and after that I just pumped and it slowly pulled it off. But I don't know, that probably took me, this side probably took me 4 minutes to get off compared to the 1.5, 2 minutes one-handed up there. But these were probably expected to drag a little bit more. But beating on a hammer, I tried, it didn't work, so I didn't try very long. And I don't think, after using that, I don't think I would ever got it off. Maybe eventually. I've tried heating on those, but I don't like heating those up, because then you put a lot of heat on bearings and bushings and everything else that's in there, and you don't want to heat that stuff up, because heat will kill it and ruin it. But I better look at this and see if that's brake dust, but that looks like oil that's in there. That might be a wheel seal or an axle seal. It's in here. It doesn't look fresh, so it's probably old, but a lot of these don't really leak unless they're uneven, sitting on uneven ground, or get a flat tire so it sits uneven. But I'll look at that before I throw it back together too. But I'm gonna put this side back together and either go to bed, since I've been up all day and all night, or finish the other side. I'm not sure yet. We'll kind of figure it out. Play it by ear. Alright. Here's a slider pin. This was what they're supposed to look like. And here's the rubber boot. And that one's actually good. This is the bottom one. Notice all the rust there. And here's the other part of the rubber boot. So it still has the piece that actually sits in the caliper, but the other end is all gone. So from where my tip of my thumb is exposed, or out, was all exposed. So any grease that was in there is gone, and all the moisture got in there and corroded that up. Both bottoms, sorry for the lighting here. See if I can get in here. Nope. We'll try the other side where I got the light at. So both the bottom slider pins were dry rotted and ripped off. The tops are still good. I removed both of them on this side, top and bottom. This one is the top. But that rubber boot sits in there, and it's got a collar. It sits in there nice and smooth, and then it has the scrunchy parts on both ends where it's able to compress when that slides across there to apply the brakes. We have a set of rubber boots that will be here Wednesday, along with the other set of caliper pins, the slider pins and the bolts. Ordered 2 sets. They will be here Wednesday morning. So I only needed 1 set, technically speaking, because I only need to replace the bottom. But while I'm at it, I'm going to do both top and bottom. That way there's no worries about the top being older than the bottoms and how long they're going to last. So they both should last as long. To remove them, I use the air chisel with just the center punch style on there. I heated that up to kind of break that rust free a little bit, and was able to twist them with a pair of channel locks, and then use that to chisel to push it out. And then I pulled the rubber piece out of there. The other side, I was able just to push it out. It slid right out on the top, the one that wasn't bad. On the other side, I used just a pulley puller, was able to push that through. This is actually a steering wheel puller, but was able to push that through. It was a little more effort, but figure might as well work smarter, not harder, right? This only took me a couple minutes, but we'll get the new ones in and I'll show you putting them in and then finish putting these together. But I got the pads on there now. And I just got to grease them up. Once I get these in, I'll grease these up, put the calipers on, and we're ready to go. Alright, we got both back calipers back on with the new slider pins and rubber boots on it. And here's what we're looking at underneath there. The slider pin is where it's just a bushing, more or less, the bolt goes through to hold the caliper on. Right up in there, you see the bolt head there. And when you put them together, you try to put a bunch of grease down the inside the rubber boot, and then I always coat the outside of the shaft, one end to the other, really heavily. Get it pushed inside that, get it to lock in these little grooves on both ends,